soon. We've got, we did a little inside baseball in Tampa, which was fun. Mike kind of went off cuff a little bit, which is always fun. I know these guys have a ton of stories. So why don't we take a crack at first of all, introduce yourself for a second. I mean, everybody probably knows.
My name is Gagne. I used to play for the Dodgers for a little bit. Played 1 year with Boston, won the World Series there. Now I'm retired, looking for projects, and what you guys are doing is pretty amazing because literally now, the Game Over brain, I'm doing a podcast called Game Over, and what you guys are doing, for fan interaction, fan involvement, and just to give a vehicle for them to be in touch with the players. Individual branding is so big right now. What you guys are doing is pretty amazing. So just gonna get into projects like that, try to help the young kids understand what's going on and what we've been through, and that's it. That company, just trying to stay busy.
That's it. Play a lot of golf.
Yeah, no. It's all right. It's not bad. Got a little member guest next week, so I gotta get ready. Gotta focus a little bit.
Yeah, you're a scratch golfer.
Yeah, sometimes. I want to tell people.
Introduce yourself.
Mike Hampton. Played about 17 years in the big leagues. Coached 4 years. Seen it all. Been through a lot of it. The big thing for me is once I met David and he was all about the fans, all about continue to bring the fan support to the game and to continue to build a younger fan base. And the older guys too, like myself, I mean, we definitely could utilize this, but the younger fan engagement has been kind of a tough pill for the MLB to swallow. So once I heard about this, I'm like, man, this is fantastic. The more younger generation, I got boys that are 28, 24. I mean, I call it generation head down. I mean, you're constantly in your phone. So why not put something worthwhile on your phone? So that's kind of why I'm here to support this awesome app, and I'm loving the start. It's helping me not get to the finish line because all the possibilities of this app and as we grow, but we're in a good place right now. I'm super excited every day I get those notifications.
Awesome. Well, we're very thankful that we're doing this together. So, all right, guys, we're defining moments. Give me a defining moment. Boring, just a softball question to start. We're gonna go deeper.
Well, I kind of went off tangent in Tampa. I'll try to stick to the question this time. So it's kind of tough, like the defining moment, or what's the one moment. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be on the mound for a game clincher, and to clinch the playoffs, to go to the playoffs for the Astros, which we hadn't been since '86. NLCS sweet game to go to the World Series. But as I think back, I'm probably one of my favorite moments was, I was a non-roster guy, 20 years old, just my first big league camp, taking it all in, wanted to get my foot in the door, kind of just show them that, hey, I'm like him, this is who I am, maybe next year or 2 years down the road, I'll be a guy you come calling for. Well, Lou Piniella called me in his office about a week left in spring training. He told me I made the team. And I'm like, I'm a non-roster. I'm like, what? And he goes, I'm taking you north with me. So I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, I'm 20 years old. Like, am I really ready for this? And I found out I wasn't a little later, but I did make it. So the defining moment for me is when I called my dad. And I told my dad, and I'll probably get emotional, but I told my dad, I said, hey, Dad, I just found out I made the team. He goes, congratulations, son. I promised, I said, just don't tell nobody. I want to just kind of slide through under the radar. I just want to just kind of ease my way in. I said, just don't tell nobody. He goes, son, I'm going to tell everybody I know. So I remember that conversation on the phone. He was in Tampa. We're close to where I live, and I was here in Phoenix, and making that phone call was pretty special for me. So that was a pretty fun moment.
That's hard to beat, no? My first call up was pretty amazing too, but I think my most memorable moment was basically I had 84 saves in a row, and I had all the the accolades, big stand, been standing ovation for a couple of years, and then I blew a save in LA, Dodger Stadium, and then I got a standing ovation. So to me, it was really special. Get a standing ovation for messing up. That was pretty special. 84 in a row.
That's it.
At other moments, that was pretty cool. I mean, just getting the fans out, it was really cool.
We remember those years. Right, Maddie? Wherever you are. Awesome. So I love defining moments. I also love embarrassing moments. So Mike's got a couple of these up his sleeve, but
my most embarrassing moment is probably my first start in Montreal, where I had a bunch of fans over there. And just my whole family, I got a big family. My mom was the youngest at 12. There's so many cousins that probably I haven't even met yet. So it's a big family. So I went to Montreal, had my first game up there. And after that, I was going to speak to the media, and I was afraid of the media. I didn't want to talk in front of people. I failed French. I don't have my high school diploma because I couldn't speak in front of people in French. So the media comes out, and I'm literally hiding in the bathroom because I don't want to speak to the media. I'm scared. I was afraid. So my dad comes in, they're like, hey, we gotta find Eric. Eric, you gotta talk to the media. I mean, it makes no sense. You're in Montreal, it's your hometown. You gotta talk to the media. So I come out, I'm like, all right, I go out there and I start talking in English to a French question. And I start speaking French to an English question. So it was all messed up. So that was my most embarrassing moment probably in the big leagues.
Awesome, that's awesome. And those are the pure moments, man. This shit's hard. People don't realize. 18?
And they're always watching. So you're not hyped.
Mike, you don't have any embarrassing moments.
Well, so I did a Vince Scully one last time in Tampa. I missed my glove anyway. I got a good story here. So we're in Chicago. I'm a rookie with the Astros. Greg Swindell's my mentor. Wherever he goes, I go. You know, so we go to a place called the Lodge. I'll be pretty transparent because I cuss quite a bit. So when we walk into the Lodge, it's just a little sports bar, dingy, but it's all Chicago. It's all Cubs. It's a cool spot. It's one spot the players go. So we walk in, and I notice our traveling secretary and our head clubhouse guy, Dennis Borio, and Barry Waters are sitting over to the left with a heavier set guy and whatever. So I'm walking up, and this guy, the heavier set guy, goes, "Who's this little piece of shit?" And I'm like, "Fuck you, fat ass, make some salad." And he goes, "You know who this is?" I said, "I don't care who that is." He goes, "Well, his name's Joe West." I go, "Who's Joe West?" He goes, "He's behind the plate tomorrow." So the 21-year-old rookie just telling the guy behind the plate tomorrow to go basically, kick rocks. I come in the next day, I'm in the bullpen at this time, I come in the next day, and I get called in to face Tuffy Rhodes. And when I get to the mound, I start making my warm-up pitches, I look over at him, he's over there rubbing his belly on the first baseline. And I'm like, good Lord. I'm like, I have no chance here. Went 2-0, threw a 2-0 cutter, ground out to first base, and my day's over. But you know what? He loved me from that time on. I mean, finally somebody that kind of stuck to him. But if you know Joe West, if anybody here knows Joe West, and I'm sure you do, he always sticks it to rookies, and the way they handle it is the way your pretty much career is going to go the rest of the time.
You can get a couple inches on each side if you're nice to them.
Yeah.
I think he gets a gauge on pitchers, and especially young guys. Yeah. You got to pay dues.
Oh, no doubt.
What do you guys think about the new AI-driven strike zone?
I mean, if they use it right, I think you want to get every call right, obviously. I mean, especially now with the gambling and the gaming and everything else, there's so much out there, so much technology to get the call right. I like it, but I don't think you want to take away from the essence of the game, which is the human factor, human mistake and everything else, and the relationship with the catcher and the pitcher. I mean, the catcher and the umpire, I think is very important. And, like the story with Joe, I think this is what you don't want to miss out. I think utilizing is fine. I like to, ask the players. I think the players are the best, probably the best gauge of all of it. Ask the players to make the call. Ask the replay. Even the replay right now I don't like. I wish it was just the players to ask. You don't need a team. Players usually know if they're safe or out, unless they're too emotional. But I think you have to use it the right way. I think the players understand what they're trying to accomplish here. Just get the call right. Explain that to them. I think there's no problem with it unless they just don't let the robots do the whole thing. I think you lose a little bit of touch. The history of the game, I think you lose it.
Right.
Yeah.
How
You
would
lose
you
your
handle
family.
how would you handle the pitch clock?
Well, for me, I work fast. I mean, the less I'm thinking, the better I'm pitching. So get the ball and let it eat. But some of these guys would struggle, right? And for me, it would take you out of your game a little bit until you took more time. If you're a little more cerebral, I was always more like an athletic kind of, when it gets in there, just come out. But I could see where, if you're rushing through a pitch decision and you make the wrong one, then it kind of goes haywire.
I mean, I understand why they did the time because it is boring to watch 30 seconds between pitches. I understand that, but at the same time, I think they've accomplished it. Now the game's faster. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. I understand the pace of play. You're trying to speed up pace of play, but now that it's utilized from the catchers or the hitter time calling time out, and you can almost bet on it, which is kind of odd. I wouldn't like that. Just speed up play. I understand that. The pace of the game to get going. You want to make sure that you're not just sitting there bored. But I think at some point, just taking it away, I don't think it'd hurt unless just give warnings. I mean, I think the umpire, you want to trust the umpire a little more, bring them back more in the game, give them responsibilities, or kind of, hey, they got the clock on. I watch high school baseball. They don't have a clock. There's a clock on it, but you don't see it. And I think the pace of play is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a mindset now. I mean, and then this app works in perfectly for the people who don't want to, sit through a 3-hour game, right? I mean, here's 5 minutes of the best highlights of your best players, and I mean, the whole, Kirk Gibson was my favorite guy growing up. I mean, and everybody asked, he didn't have the best numbers, just the way he played the game, just the way when I watched him, when I saw him. So never missing those moments, never missing that home run in '88. I mean, just those type things are things we won't miss now, because we have that technology. So if it bridges the gap and we still keep the true hardcore fans like myself, which I love watching the whole games. I love the intricacies of all the, every out, every inning, but yet we bring that younger base. It gives them another outlet. I mean,
yeah, I think that's what you guys are doing right now. And all the kids now, their attention span is not very long, and they can multitask really well. We can focus very well. I think it's kind of what they do now, and I think give them information, give them data, give them all the fun stuff around it, like almost AR and VR now. We can do with it. The interaction can be amazing. So you want to use it, you don't want to overuse it. You want to make sure that it's, the fans, like I said, don't lose their old fan base. He said it's 59 years old. There's a reason why there's a 10, 12-year gap with all of the other sports. Maybe it's boring, but how do you bring the game back? How do you make it, make the game exciting again? Yeah, you want to speed it up. I get that, but there's so much information out there. We can use it for the fans. The gambling, the gaming.
One of the big problems with MLB is that 1% of games are broadcast nationally. So you've got the best content in the world, Joey, Tommy, whoever, you name it. And chances are, let's say 1 to 2% of those games are broadcast across the country. That makes it really tough for MLB to maximize their best content. It also makes it very tough for the user, a Gen Z or whomever who wants to follow a player, to actually watch that player, unless they've got some mechanism like a PLYR app that allows them to bridge the gap between when they're up and the broadcast, which MLB TV has centralized broadcast for market games, but a lot of people don't know about that. So it's it's an educational process for us. It's a discovery process for them. It's going to make it a lot of fun. Any most feared, this guy gets up to the plate, I'm like, I don't want to. You guys are both pretty fearless, but was there that one pitcher or that one hitter where you're like, oh, I don't want to face this guy?
I didn't want to face him at all. I think, of course, that bat, the Barry Bonds at bat, I think he's the most feared hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime. The way he dominated, the way he changed the lineup, the way we pitched to the first 2, 3, 4 guys in front of him. I mean, it mattered. I mean, when you get walked with bases loaded, it tells you a lot. But I think the guy I didn't like the most was probably Richard Ilya. I mean, he could just foul off everything. He was just annoying. And you got this guy like Jeff Gagne, Barry Bonds in front of behind him. He just out there fouling stuff and just go away and then just go away. So he's one of those guys that's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, for me, the same thing. You have the big guys, like when Barry Bonds, when Junior steps in the box, those guys are like, all right, here we go, let's bear down. But Sean Green was a guy for me. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would be throwing 92-mile-an-hour cutters that day. He's gonna rip it that way. I could hang a pitch, and it's gone. Never ever would any contact he made not find a place in the field or over the fence. So it's one of those things where I remember I was in Colorado, and I probably had the best stuff I'd had in a while. I mean, my velo was good. I'm like, my cutter's good. I'm like, today you're mine. I think he went 3 for 3 with 2 doubles and a homer. I'm like,
really? Yeah. He probably had you in the book. He probably took it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's one of those guys that's really, he's a really one of the best hitters.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any questions from the audience? Yes, sir, Gary.
So I'd love to know, kind of from a backstory perspective, when you guys were in high school, how dominant were you? How good were you in high school? And it's interesting because you have someone went to high school here in the U.S. and someone went to high school in Canada. We all know kind of the path of all-state, all-American, and then you get recruited. And I'd love to hear, and don't be shy, tell us, how good you were, brag on yourselves, and because I love the good backstory. Go for it.
All right. Grew up in a place called Crystal River, Florida. Small town about an hour north of Tampa. Played pretty much every sport growing up. 3-sport athlete in high school. I wrestled my freshman and sophomore year, and then I just played football and baseball my junior and senior year. I was recruited to play. I got scholarship to play football. I was all-state defensive back my junior and senior year. All-state my junior senior year in high school. I don't know, I think I had a .19 ERA, I think it's one of those things where when you're a kid, you're young, you find yourself, you don't set out to be, in your mind, I'm going to be a major league, but you don't play every game in Little League like you're going to be a major leaguer. But you find yourself on all-star teams. You find yourself getting read up a little bit in the paper. You find some junior year, some scouts started showing up and stuff like that. So I just always feel like today, my one gripe about today's athlete is they're so specialized. You know, it's just so like.
But that's
like,
not my choice, Mike.
No,
It's other coaches.
well, that or
Coaches
parents
don't
or
want to play
parents
other
see the
sports.
next Mike Trout and you're like, hey, you're 7. Like Mike Trout ain't what Mike Trout until he was 19, you know? So yeah, so I just say play multiple sports. Every sport's going to help your main sport. You'll figure it out by the time you're 15, 16, kind of what you really love. But yeah, I mean, I just found myself on lots of all-star teams. I had a dad that was he was strict with a lot of things I did, and he pushed me. He pushed me to be the best. If I went 3 for 4, it was like, okay, what happened on that one? You know, it wasn't like, hey, I'm patting you on the back, how great you did those ones. So, I mean, just the motivation factor. The one thing I think players and kids lose now is the ability to compete. You know, if you learn how to compete in sports, it's going to transfer in your business life and after, you know. I remember being a coach in the minor leagues for the Angels, and like, hey, we got to teach how to compete. And so I'm like, man, what do you mean? We're in professionals, we're in Major League, minor league baseball. Like these guys should know how to compete. That's why they're here. But no, I mean, these kids are still learning how to compete. So there's so many layers of things that it takes to be a great player, a great teammate, a great things. But it starts when you're young, you know, playing multiple sports, you know, and understanding that you're only as good as the weakest, you know, member on your team too, and then trying to lift those guys up.
And when were you drafted?
I was drafted in the 6th round by the Mariners in 1990, high school. And I was my coaches on my high school team was an Orioles scout, and they were going to take me Orioles were going to take me as a center fielder in the 7th round, but I got taken as a pitcher in the 6th round.
I'm a wannabe hockey player. I didn't even know I got drafted. I didn't know I could get drafted, and when I did get drafted, I knew a little bit the year of the draft I was going to be, you know, getting drafted. I wasn't sure around, but I didn't understand why I could not pick the team I would go work for. So that's how much I knew about, you know, getting to the big league. So I was a multi-sport guy. I love hockey. I played baseball during the summer because my dad wouldn't let me play hockey all year round. We don't have sports in school in Canada, so it's basically you play club sports after, if your parent, whatever your parents want to do after school, that's kind of what you're going to. So played hockey in the off season, in the winter, played baseball in the summer. I knew I was good for my hometown. I mean, no one plays baseball in Canada much, so I knew I was good. I was better than most of my team until I got to probably high school age, and I started playing started playing Legion ball and organized ball, which is a little different. I got made Team Quebec, Team Canada, got basically cut from all baseball Canada, quit baseball, was going to go backpack. Went to Seminole Junior College in Oklahoma. Somebody told me that they give you a full scholarship if you go to Canada or if you go to Seminole. Went over there for a year. Did really well. That's kind of where I decided to be a baseball player, pro baseball player. Lloyd Simmons, my coach over there, was really, really strict, really solid, you know, good human being. So he really pushed me in the right direction. And I made a Team Canada that summer. Signed with the Dodgers right after, and then I went to Instructional League, and I think it's 1995, I think. So that was it. I mean, I just kind of took a different path around. Minor leagues, I got hurt my first year. After I was in Savannah, Georgia, my first year, I got hurt after that. Got Tommy John and got to the big leagues in 1999, I believe. So a little bit different path. My dad was he was a motivator. He said, whatever you start, finish, be the best at what you want to do. And he just goes, hey, just go have fun, enjoy it. And that's kind of my background a little bit.
Totally awesome. On that note, any other questions? We have these two superstars up here. I want to know one thing. So what a high, what a rush. I mean, the press, from 18, 17, 18, draft, the process going through the minors, making, getting up to the show and getting that call, and there's so many defining moments and so many amazing moments. It's surrounded by tens of thousands of fans watching you do what you do. But then it stops at some point, right? And I think that we've had a long conversation about. How did you feel about that? What was the next step? How did you kind of bridge? What was next after baseball? How did you kind of approach that?
But they don't tell you at 3 or 4 years old when you start playing baseball that this is not your identity. You know what I mean? Everything you do, you're trying to get better at everything. And once everything stops and the lights turn off, and when you don't have the attention, or we don't have basically that one activity that you think about daily, and that's taken away from you, or you can't do it anymore, that's very hard. That's who are you without baseball? And that's a question I've asked myself the last 10 years. I mean, it's, every single day you wake up, what, find a project, and now I think, there's social media and everything else, it's very, very difficult for us old guys that really haven't really got into understanding the after career. I think that's what the young generation now understand is the after career. And I think it's pretty special how it's going to become. I think for us it's very hard because you lose your identity. I mean, when you're on the mound, you get standing ovations left and right, and everything you do, everybody's happy or not. It's very hard. When it's cut off, you got to find new purpose, new ways to get entertained. And I think it's I did it with a bad company. I did it with projects like this, training kids, just trying to stay busy, stay in the game. But it is a challenge.
Yeah, I second that. I tell people there's no brighter light than standing on that mound in front of 50,000 people. But once that light comes off, there's no worse darkness too. And then I struggle with it just like you have. And your baseball is your identity because ever since you're little, that's what you are. It's Mike Hampton, a baseball player. You're Gagne, a baseball player. Like, oh yeah, you play baseball. So it's really hard. I coached a few years, but it's tough to replace that. That light, that fire. That we like to compete. Everything we do, we're going to compete. Like I'll be biking, on my bike, and I'll see somebody hitting me. I'm going to catch him. There's no doubt in my mind I'm catching that guy, or I'm not getting caught. I don't know. That just never stops. I'm going to beat her home tonight when we drive home. I guarantee it. But because it's hard to replace that. So having an outlet, Chase. Good for. He's doing great things with the youth and with he's found his passion. Like this app, things like that. It stokes my fire. Watching those highlights. I'm getting goosebumps. That was kind of my era. Being a part of all those things, and I have a passion for the game, just looking for an outlet and a place to kind of put it, and I think PLYR kind of helps me with that, so thank you.